Do I think white people should have paid black people for reparations? Fucking yeah, absolutely I do. My ancestors undoubtedly took part in a very cruel and dehumanizing evil process by which we exploited the labor of black people in order to make us rich even centuries later. And the problem is that black people were supposed to get 40 acres and a mule, which, like, if you saw Kendra's performance, 40 acres and a mule, this is bigger than the music. Most black families got nothing because Andrew Johnson revoked the executive order because he's an actual bitch. Black families had no other option than to work in sharecropping, which their labor was still exploited, or they were arrested for literally no reason, no offense at all, and taken to prison where they were also exploited for their labor. So yes, black families should have been compensated, and the economy, the United States would be a very different country today if reparations had actually happened. Because imagine being enslaved for decades of your life, freed at 50 years old. What do you do? You have no dollars to your name, no possessions, and that is why there's such an unequal distribution of wealth today, because it was intentionally withheld from black and brown people. So even today, I am pro reparations. I think the American government should be paying people out. Sorry.
Man, I tell you what, nothing makes racist white people more pissed off than me, a white person, trying to educate about racism and trying to educate about what white privilege is and all these things. And it's so funny because these same people will argue with me till they are blue in the face about how they're not racist and we don't live in a racist institution and black and brown people have it so easy and racism doesn't exist anymore. But then they will turn around and say the most racist, ignorant, vile shit you've ever heard in your life. The disconnect is amazing. And this is why I make content like this, because it's so important, because we do live in a racist institution and we are all raised in racism as white people. This is simply a fact. And the crazy part about it is every one of us knows this. Even the ones who will sit there and fight with me to the death about it and act like it doesn't exist. Y'all know white people are racist. Y'all know about the casual racism, the casual microaggressions that we are raised in, no matter where we live in this United States of America. And this is why I will never stop. I will never stop trying to educate as a white person about racism and how we need to learn. We need to evolve. We need to do better. It's almost as if they feel like admitting to a racist institution or admitting to racism makes them this evil, terrible person. And so they would rather double down than to grow and be a good person. And that's so bad, because all that says to me is that you have a small mind and a cowardly soul. And I wish better for you than that, truly, because everything in your life will get better when you stop being so ignorant.
I'm a racist in recovery. If you haven't seen me before, hi, my name's Janelyn. I have been talking about how I was born and raised in the deep South, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, raised to be a racist, and how I've been dismantling that for the last 15 years. If you like this content, give me a follow. If you have any comments or questions, please put it in the comments. I will respond to it. If you have any particular topics that you want me to talk about, leave those in the comments. Let's talk about white privilege. I think a lot of white people don't want to accept this concept. I get it. I get why. Like, I'm thinking, I don't have white privilege. I haven't had anything handed to me. I've worked for everything I have. I have worked my ass off, and life has not been easy. I've been through a lot of shit. I get that. But what white privilege is not, it's not having your life handed to you on a silver platter. It doesn't mean you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth. It doesn't mean that you haven't worked really hard. It doesn't mean that you haven't experienced loss or failure. It doesn't mean that you haven't had significant obstacles to overcome. It simply means that the color of your skin did not add to those struggles. And I think this goes hand in hand with recognizing and admitting that we have systemic racism.
The white people's whose stance is that they don't want to be held responsible or accountable for what their white ancestors did when referring to slavery, probably had the most despicable and violent ancestors because, according to epigenetics, the lack of empathy derived from that. Those white people, I'll absolutely never have a back and forth conversation with them because they're literally embodying a lack of empathy. There's no point in re-explaining slavery or what happened or any of those things. However, you could catch this smoke about Jim Crow laws. The ancestors typically refers to 3+ generations ago. Jim Crow laws are only 1 and 2 generations removed. You actually probably met your family members who were voting for and enforcing Jim Crow laws because they were your parents and your grandparents. It didn't end until the 1960s on paper. And even after, on paper, Jim Crow laws ended in America, those practices still live. They still live today. Racial segregation is in the culture of America because of the Jim Crow era. I would argue that the Jim Crow era had more of an impact on the current state of being of the Black Americans as a majority than slavery. The largest and most profitable banks, corporations, and universities were founded or started during Jim Crow era. They capitalized off of racial segregation, and that has negatively impacted Black people the most. This is where the conversation of reparations, it is the most logical connection. This isn't a conversation about ancestors. Stop arguing with these people about slavery and start arguing with them about Jim Crow laws.
Some are saying, we will not forgive all those that voted for Trump. And all these are white Americans. They're regretting calling each other for calling each other out for ignoring Black people's advice. Because I do remember when Louis Farrakhan was coming out to warn the white people about their own system. That all that you are doing, all that you're protecting, all this democracy that you're protecting, all this flag that you're protecting, it will one day turn against you. And you'll never believe it. All this that you have been doing, supporting when it comes to the oppression of the Black people, all these massive killings, massive arrests, and you are not saying anything, you are not defending them, it will one day come to affect you. So today they are coming out themselves to feel that. They are regretting. And they are asking Black people that we are sorry for this. They are sorry that they're admitting, they're exposing the truth, why they did this, and what made them to do this. But now, it is all in vain, because when you used to believe in whatever you believed in, which never existed, and you ignored everything that was told by other people against what you believed, you never listened, and now you expect something to be done, you expect something extra or something much than what is happening to be done, then you are in a very wrong time. Time is changing, and everything is changing. When you fail to listen for the people who have been experiencing this for the longest time, the question is, will you be ready to bear or to survive all that is coming on your way, this 2025 and onwards? Because today, let's assume that Blacks have forgiven you and forgotten everything that you ever did towards them. It will never change anything that has happened today, because they will not. Their sorry or their forgiveness will not make the white system to start treating you fairly. Their sorry will not make you will not make the leader of who is prosecuting and giving orders in this country to start doing things in your favor. Your sorry will not make him to start doing things. Will every time start to favoring you. Bana umekata. Isi yako. Sasa ni Godfather nafuata. So you're sorry, we know that. But now, how will this erase all that has ever done by the white system with the Black people? You are sorry, yes. You are so sorry, yes. But how will this erase everything that was ever done to the other minority group? How this will help all the people who have suffered under this same system that you have been praising, supporting, and believing in so much? Today, you made the mistake that you personally knew well that this was a mistake, because you experienced this person for the first time. The second time you voted him out, and again you came to vote him in. What the same thing that made you to vote him out is the same thing that you would have thought before coming to vote him in again. Then maybe this would have not been happening. You would have not been able to experience all that's happening today, which is making you uncomfortable, which is making you to panic, and which is making you to feel like you would have listened. You wish you would have listened to other people who came to warn you against this regime before it was created, and you participated 90% in building it. You believed in it, and you believe that he's going to make America great again. And this is the question that people are today asking: is America great again? So you should not be the part of the people who are coming out to complain, to speak all that you are speaking today. You should be today quietly sitting down, enjoying all that you created, all that you wanted, because that's all, and that is much that you should expected. So I won't take much time. Kindly, so those watching for the first time, consider subscribing, sharing as we create space to connect on the next episode, as we discuss most of the videos and commentaries that comes out each every time. Be blessed and stay tuned.